welcome to another story time with When Girls Talk Books. I'm Kylee.
I'm Susie.
And today we have a guest. You've all heard about him. The J who defies all stereotypes.
That's right.
My husband, Justin.
You heard it here first.
Yes. Hello. Thank you for having me.
So we roped him into today's episode. Oh, we
Yeah.
also have a guest.
Me and my boy.
Your boy. We didn't name him. That's all right.
He doesn't need to be named.
He can be
Mr. Bones.
Mr. Bones. Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll go with that.
Yeah. Anywho, we have Justin and Mr. Bones.
We are a duo.
He was very shocked by the book,
Yes.
apparently.
Yes.
He's
He
got
just
a lot
finished.
of opinions.
Just finished before we started recording and
Yeah.
has not
conveniently-
recovered yet.
Conveniently, 2 people in this area finished the book today.
Yep.
We won't say who.
No.
And it wasn't
No.
me, okay?
We won't.
It wasn't me.
We won't say who.
Okay, we're going to get into it. So this episode, we're going to do the Saturday Night Ghost Club, and this is by Craig Davidson.
So there's no sex in this book.
There is none of that.
Yeah, if you're looking for smut, it ain't here.
I would almost say this is YA.
Yes.
Yes.
This seems
definitely.
more YA than the
It's
last
like-
book we
it's
read.
like-
I don't
It's
even know
a
if I'd say
heavy-
YA.
I would say it's a heavy topic YA.
I guess that's true. I thought it felt very, light and like something you'd read in school.
Yeah, I'm like, I would definitely have seen that in our middle school. Like,
But it has some
library.
pretty heavy topics. That's
Yeah.
the only thing.
Yeah, 100%.
Which I guess some of the books you read in school do as well.
Right, that's kind of like the point. It's also just like the last 10% for the most part.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
at least
True.
we see from the perspective of just kids.
Yeah.
A 12-year-old,
around.
having a 12-year-old summer.
Like you said, it was like Stranger Things kind of sort
Yeah.
of.
Yes, this book really gave me a lot of Stranger Things vibes. Like, I was
I've never
having...
seen Stranger
Yeah, never having seen Stranger Things, I agree.
Please do. It's incredible.
Things.
Incredible.
So my mom tells
So
me
good.
Yeah.
constantly.
It's... Yep.
It's a goodie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can't. If I start, I won't be able to shut the fuck up.
Maybe in 30 years we'll start it when we have free time again.
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
So let's just get into it. We have Jake, who...
From State Farm.
Sure. Yes,
Yeah.
of course.
Probably.
Maybe.
It happens in the 80s, so maybe.
Well, he's a neurosurgeon as an adult, so
Yes.
probably not Jake.
We don't know
from
what
State
Jake from State Farm does on the side.
Farm. Probably
I'm sorry,
not
I
a
even brought this up.
neurosurgeon.
I'm sorry.
Maybe.
Back to the
Go ahead. Keep going.
No, let's keep going down this. This feels important.
But it actually starts with like Jake as an adult. He's a neurosurgeon, and he's talking about like the consistency of the brain and how he operates. And he has like
a lot
a
of-
suction thing.
Yep,
Lots
his
of
little
parts
brain
of this
wand.
book, I was just thinking about it too much, and I'm like, now my head hurts. I don't like
yeah.
this.
But like one thing I thought was crazy. Didn't know that. Didn't know the brain was like mush.
Like toothpaste?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had no
Freaked me
idea.
the fork out. I thought I had a nice firm jello mold up here, but nay.
And then like 90% of the book, I was like, I don't care about your job. I don't
Yes.
care that you're a neurosurgeon.
Yes.
Why do?
But
why is all
most
this getting pieced
neurosurgeons,
together?
think that you really care about what they do.
Yeah,
I know
guess.
you're
If
important,
you were
I
a
couldn't do your
neurosurgeon,
job.
you would not shut up. About
Yeah.
it.
So
Let's
true.
be so
I imagine
for real.
anybody who pays that much money and goes through that much schooling probably wants everyone to know how much
Yeah.
they know about it.
Hi, I'm a brain surgeon.
Yeah,
Yes.
literally.
Let me tell you about the consistency of your brain.
Yeah. That's like the introduction to the book, and it's kind of like,
What the hell?
who cares? Anyway.
I agree. The last book that we read had a lot of like just kind of like fluff filler talking about basketball, and then I was like,
Yeah.
oh, this is, kind of interesting. You know, the cross up,
Sure, okay.
Yeah.
whatever behind, and then, so that was kind of cool. But
Same
yes,
concept.
this had the exact same situation, but yeah, I was also like, I don't.
You're like, yeah,
Care.
okay.
But like,
Anyway.
at the end, though,
Don't
I
care
felt like
about
it
all
all
the
made
synapses.
sense. I
Yes,
felt like it
yep.
made sense, the things that he was
Yep,
saying, once
it
it all
did,
tied together.
definitely.
So I was like,
And why he
okay.
had that job, I was like,
Yeah.
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 I was
Uh-huh.
like, that's so sweet.
Okay.
Yes.
So, Jake, in the book, for the most part, is a kid, 12 years old, and he has his Uncle Calvin, who's a very eccentric uncle.
He's a character.
He's a character.
Quiet.
He's also a very, like, pure soul. In
Yes,
a way,
he
though.
feels very innocent and childlike.
Yeah, but a very kooky guy. And we start with, like, a slug in Jake's closet.
That was so weird.
A shape-shifting slug.
Uh-huh. There's like a monster in his closet.
Monster in his closet, but it's a shape-shifting slug.
Uh-huh. Right,
And-
specifically.
Yeah, and Uncle Calvin's like, oh, yes, of course.
Some kind of slurper.
Yes, that sounds like a classic case of one of these.
Yeah, and so he, like, brings this powder and makes, like, a keyhole thing, and it's like, it's a trap. Yeah. And you can't touch it, and if you touch it, it's not going to work, and you can't open the closet. And then he wakes up the next morning, and there's, like, this black rock in place of it, and he's like,
sitting where the trap was.
oh my gosh,
it worked. He caught it.
He caught it, yeah.
Old Uncle Calvin.
Yeah. So he's kind of, and Jake says he's like the best uncle that a kid would want. Aww. He's like the uncle that a kid would think is so cool, and he does all these stuff. And Jake is not very popular at school.
Yes.
Relatable.
Quite. Yeah.
But particularly, there's Percy and Terry who kind of antagonize him and pick on him.
Seems to be quite a loser. Even he says
Okay.
he says, well, no, that's what he says. He says he sits at recess and he just like hides from everyone and waits for the day to be over, and he dreads going to school. Yes, he makes friends during the summer, and then when school starts and his friends see that nobody at school likes him, then they don't want to be his friend anymore. And
that's so sad.
It's very sad.
yes, so he's just kind of a sad young man.
But Percy used to be his friend until he said Percy found cooler friends to hang
Right,
out with.
exactly.
So now he doesn't want to hang out with me. But Percy and Terry end up throwing a firecracker at his face because,
Like you
know,
do when you're a kid.
Exactly. It explodes in his face, and then this girl comes up behind him with a rock and like hits him in the head with a rock.
Percy, the bully.
Yeah, and stands up for him and is like, bad mouthing them, and then kind of like takes off and leaves.
Yeah. There's this cool chick with a skateboard
And
on
that
her
chick
shoulder.
is how I met your mother.
And at first I thought she hit him over the head with the skateboard, and I was like,
I know.
Dang.
I was like, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, which it was rock, which still is pretty cool. But so he gets kind of
It'll
like
do.
saved by her, and that's like the start of his summer per se. And then we find out that his uncle owns an occultorium, which is a gift shop, because they're kind of in a touristy summer type town. And it's a gift shop with just everything you could possibly imagine an occultorium would be.
Yes, all cool ghost scanners and all kinds of cool stuff to,
There was something about the back storage room with some kind of like paw, and then there'd be some other like tooth of this and that. Wild.
Yeah, like stuff to make potions and witchcraft stuff and stuff to kill vampires.
Special Moroccan this and that.
Yes,
so
all kinds of like kind of
right.
monster hunter and repellent paraphernalia.
And his slogan is investigating the dark cubby holes of otherworldly experience, ... And he insisted that ... was in there.
It's very mysterious.
Yeah, but it just has all kinds of like spell books, witchy things, teas, potion ingredients, like just.
Honestly, I feel like we would have a freaking heyday on that
Oh,
store if we could
yeah.
go.
Yep. Somewhere you two would be real comfortable.
What do you mean by that? We're comfortable.
Giddy, you
Has he
could.
figured out that I'm a she-devil now?
The geek is up. We gotta move.
I gotta kickstart my broom home tonight.
Yeah. Dang, this Becky's getting old. But also in the occultorium, there's a bat phone.
Yeah.
That's what he calls it. And one day, Jake ends up like sneaking a look at his uncle's notebook where he writes down all of the things that
Right, 'cause people-
he hears over the bat phone.
Yeah, people call him to give him leads on
Yeah.
hauntings and ghost
Just
sightings
like the
and
weirdest
happenings.
things. Yeah. News from the Watcher. There's also other people that are calling this, which I thought was kind of like an interesting thing, and they all
They
have
have
names.
a little network.
Yeah, a network of people. News from the Watcher. Venomous snakes lurk in the ball pits at fast food
So it's like a
restaurants.
small town Facebook page.
Basically, exactly that, yes.
The neighborhood watch.
Yeah.
So-and-so locals.
Yeah.
Celebrity tattle. Cher Bono has bottom rib surgery surgically removed to look more subtle. Like, just like the most random thing. And then
It's like
he
crazy
goes
conspiracy stuff.
He goes on about a popular fast food chicken restaurant that's no longer going to be able to use chicken in their title because they made these
I remember what part you're talking about now. I was like, wait,
they
what?
made these creatures that are just like chicken breast or chicken wings.
Yeah, and they had no heads, and they just
they like grow weird. Artificial chicken.
Yeah.
Which is like what they're all saying about Chick-fil-A right now, basically.
I was gonna say, not too far off of reality.
Whoa,
I'm old enough to remember when Subway had to change their bread ingredients because a court deemed that they couldn't legally call it bread because of all the shit that was in it.
So this is one ingredient away
I
from
knew
plaster.
I didn't like Subway.
Yeah. Old Uncle Calvin wasn't too far off.
Not to be trusted.
One.
Yeah. I'm not a big Subway gal. Now, hold on. Their foot-long
cookie?
pretzel, though?
Oh.
I'll take that.
I like the foot-long cookie.
With the honey mustard? Have that anytime. But anyway, so back to the occultorium. A kid comes in whose name is Billy Yellowbird, and his Setsune died. I think it's Setsune.
I think so.
Died, which is his grandmother. But so he comes in to like do a seance, essentially, to talk to his grandma, and he's like, "Oh, well, I don't do those, but I have this tea that you could have." And it'll open up like your brain while you sleep, so that way you can talk to her.
So you'll have a dream where you can interact with her or something. Yeah.
And essentially, Billy is very worried because they had to move, or they moved from where they were originally from, and he was worried that she wouldn't be able to rest peacefully because they can't move her body to where they were before, and she couldn't be by the river there and the trees and kind of like her home, essentially. They couldn't move her there. So he wanted to talk to her about it. So he just kind of has a lot of unresolved.
That's a lot sitting on the shoulders of a little
He's
one.
12.
12-year-old,
Yeah.
Wow.
Billy seemed like a sensitive.
He was going to get this tea, and then, but he didn't have any money, and so Uncle Calvin's like...
Yeah, he comes into the store looking to buy something to talk to his grandma, and then he goes, "Oh, I don't have any money."
He's 12. He's a grieving 12-year-old.
What do you expect to happen?
But Uncle Calvin gives it to him for free.
Yes.
He says, the first elixir's on the house.
Yes.
Oh, my God.
Because he's just such a sweet...
The sweetest man of all time.
And I know you guys already know this. Uncle Calvin, during this thing, I adored. And I just kind of had a feeling I was going to be sad.
Yeah, I did. The more when it keeps going, I'm like, he's so wholesome. Something fucking awful happened.
He seems really perfect.
Yeah. But he has to go get the tea bags, and they're in the basement. So then he goes down to the basement, and he's like, oh, I found something. And he ends up finding the spirit phone. And the spirit phone is really just a record player with one of those speakers that come out of it. But he's put like a kid's toy, what do they call it?
Speak and spell?
A speak and spell on top of it to like...
I love that you both knew what that was. I was like, oh, what?
I don't really know what it is.
When it's like a round thing, and then you like swing it to the thing, and it'll be like a cow.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry,
like a rotary phone.
Spell it out that well.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, I've heard of this thing, but I don't know.
So
you had toys? I'm just kidding.
I just had
sorry, Mom and Dad.
Rocks.
Yeah.
That was my toys, but anyway.
You had toys, you just liked the rocks.
That's
more.
true. My preference was more like
rocks and dirt.
A playhouse, and I would have like my coffee shop with my strainer and my dirt. And I was like, busy day. Man, this drive-thru has just been crazy today.
Working hella hours.
In the middle of nowhere. And the playhouse was like back in like a blackberry bush. Like
if
clearing.
we drove by it as adults, it'd be like, that looks fucking horrifying.
Sitting there.
Yeah,
meanwhile. Anyway. So the spirit phone, it like talks also. And he was like, oh, this is like a magical thing. And Einstein actually made the first spirit phone. And he's like all into it. And one thing is, Jake kind of notices like his uncle has like this weird glimmer in his eye. Which he's like, that's a little weird.
Yeah, it kind of seems like when he really dives into explaining his mechanisms and methods and stuff, he's just has this childlike exuberance and innocence and love of things that he talks about. He's quite a storyteller, and he's just like amazing with the kids.
He's a little bit like Papa Fred.
Yes.
Justin's grandpa, he's a little bit
somewhat like my grandpa, who's like the coolest guy ever.
That and my uncle.
Yep.
Like mix them together.
Exactly.
Very much.
If this book was like, not that it shouldn't be like super popular, but if it was like really popular, I would be pushing my uncle, be like, I've got an idea for Halloween for you. I can't say no.
Absolutely.
Especially like his hair is.
Oh my god.
That's what we were thinking.
For real. Yeah. It's just perfect.
Anyway, so Spirit Phone, he essentially is like, to Billy, would you like to try and contact your grandma with it? And he's like, deal. Which, Billy's like down for anything, it feels like, through the entire book. He's like,
Billy's very agreeable.
You want to do that? Yeah, I want to do that.
Yeah.
Cool, great. But so he does, and the thing kind of like starts short-circuiting, because it's just this old, rickety...
bit of a hunk of junk.
Yeah, but it like freaks them out.
Or the spirit's energy was just so strong.
Exactly.
It was.
Yeah, if you're a 12-year-old, you're like, why?
Like,
he's kind of
really
cooking
though,
here.
Really though, like, imagine you're actually 12 and you're in this situation.
I
would have walked out of there, and we would not be doing
absolutely.
The man down the street talks to dead people.
Literally. I'm big on, I don't mess with that.
Yeah. He gave me a free elixir and then tried to talk to my dead grandma. Like, can you imagine?
Yes. Do you know where we're from? Yes. Pretty sure I saw one of those on Facebook on the way here. But so it kind of freaks him out, and then he's like, well, we should break into the funeral home so you can see your grandma.
Yeah, this was a bust, so maybe we'll just break into the funeral home so you can see your dead body and say bye that way.
Which it was like, I don't think Billy was really trying to like say bye. He just wanted to like make sure she was okay, I guess, kind of, sort of.
Well, yeah, I think he wanted more, to hear something from her.
Yeah.
Like, hear her say that it was all right.
So much with, like, that once you're dead, you're gone.
Yeah.
It's just like, can I just cash in one more?
Yeah. He wanted to, hear that she was, like, comfortable and okay with
Go ahead, sweetie, don't worry about it. I'm good over here in the afterlife.
Right, because they
so sad.
just really recently moved.
Yeah.
And so he wanted to make sure that she wasn't, like, sad about that.
Sad about, like, not being where they're from.
Which, like you said, I'm sure was, just a kid who had a close family member die and was like, wait, I can't, like, I'll never talk to her again.
Yeah.
Like, what? Well, surely I get one more time.
Can I get something?
Yeah. Yes, but Uncle Calvin, trying to be nice and
let him down
accommodating, says, well, but we'll still go say goodbye to her.
But, like, it's almost not even like he's just doing it for Billy. He wholeheartedly believes the things that he says.
Yeah, and at the beginning, I wasn't really sure if Uncle Calvin was just, like, a really cool... Like super really cool uncle, and he just know that this is like a cool kids thing of like ghost stories and stuff. So he was like really into it, but then not very long. So okay, no, this guy's just like super into this.
Like,
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like, no, this is your bag that we're in.
Yeah. So they break into the funeral home. The Undertaker, is that what they call him?
I think so. Not the wrestler.
In case anyone was confused.
On this channel, for sure.
Yeah. But they were like, he's creepy and da-da-da-da, and that's where he takes all the bodies. So
obviously.
She has to be there.
They're in kind of like a small town, it seemed like. Yeah. They're in like a touristy town, but so like everybody in town knows the guy who buries all the bodies and does all that stuff. And so, of course, as a 12-year-old, like, that guy, like, hangs out with dead people all day.
Yeah.
That's freaky.
Yeah. So they, like, break in, and he's like, oh, your grandma's right here. And it's, like, some dude. And he's like, surely this isn't her.
They pop the coffin open, and it goes, oops, wrong one. Let's try again.
And also, like, imagine, like, you're in an embalming.
You're in the funeral chapel in the bottom of it, and there's
in the middle of the night, like, they're breaking into the building.
Like,
so
that's like, Brenda. What? Yeah, Mr. Winter. What the hell?
And it's a small town.
Yes,
they know these people.
Literally.
Like, oh no, that's the guy 2 streets down.
Yeah.
Also,
sorry, Gary.
They're like in drawers still.
It's always freaked me
out.
They're
naked.
The first one they looked at.
Naked.
The first one they looked at was in the coffin. Because Uncle Calvin was like, oh, this is where they, like, do their makeup and put them in their clothes and stuff, so she'll be getting it here loaded up. But then...
Granny's nude in the drawer.
That's what happens, right? I think that's what happened. After they opened the coffin, it was the wrong guy. He was like, "Oh, they must not have taken her to do her
And
makeup
she was
yet."
in the dark.
So they pulled out the thing from like the autopsy. She's got a tag on her
so
toe. And
Like-
the kid's like,
Realistic.
Emotional damage.
absolutely, yeah,
Cover up.
right. I mean,
This is
Billy's
how
like,
serial
like,
killers are born.
Yeah, I want to do this. I don't want to see her anymore.
Anyway, so it's a really good moment. For
Open
Billy.
Yes.
casket
He
was
gets
not
to
for
say
Billy after all.
It was a little bizarre.
But he's essentially like, they pull it out and he goes, "Okay, you can close it." What?
Yes.
And then they have a moment. They go to, or they're walking out, and the Undertaker's right there,
Yeah.
and he's like staring at Uncle Calvin.
Yeah, Jake sees the guy, just like standing in the corner of a room, just like looking at him. Because like all the lights are off.
And
'cause
he's
broke
like,
into
they
this
think
building.
that they're sneaking, but then he can see Uncle Calvin looking at the Undertaker.
He sees his uncle and the guy kind of like nod at each other.
So I wonder, like, do you think that was like a deal?
Yes.
He was like, "Hey, I got to bring this kid to see his dead grandma."
Because when he showed up, he says the door was unlocked too, which I was like, what? I
There
know it's the
no
80s,
way.
I
but
didn't
really?
know
They'd
this,
show up
yeah.
in this door?
I forgot
Yeah,
about that
he
completely.
thinks that Uncle Calvin, is going to like break the lockers, and then he walks up and just kind of like messes with it for a second and then opens it. And so I was like,
Even nicer.
interesting. Yeah.
so
Yeah, so I think
So
Uncle
pre-planned,
Calvin,
so he could say bye to his
or
grandma.
I think Uncle Calvin, planned this out with the
So
Undertaker.
morbid and so wholesome.
That's pretty morbid. Yeah, I don't
But
know if it's probably the best thing, most healthy
he's a
thing
wholesome
for a
man.
12-year-old. But yeah,
You leave him alone.
Calvin absolutely thinks that he's doing the best thing that he
He's
can.
a good man,
He's a
Savannah.
good man. Anyway, so they go to the hole where essentially she's gonna be buried in the next week or something. And they're like sitting around it, and he's talking to Billy, and he says, "Billy, her body's here, but her spirit is elsewhere, and she's doing all the things that she wants to be, and if she wants to be there, she will be," and kind of like puts his mind. at
Very,
ease.
very comforting.
Very comforting. And then he goes into the lost sea and the sky and the aliens, and there's
Kind of lost me for a little bit. Like when it comes to stories, I'll be like, "That's great, honey. All right,
Yep, cool. All right, Uncle Calvin.
like after reading any Zodiac book, Academy book,
Sure.
and then you don't get it. The dark magic came.
Oh my God.
You wouldn't understand, okay?
Well,
he was a
couldn't
wolf.
use the dark magic anymore because the purple stuff came in.
Yeah. And literally
Okay,
just
honey.
And one of her other elements was water.
Oh,
It's like,
yeah, exactly. No, but he had the ancient, dark, mythical one that they thought was lost forever at a time.
You don't get it. They have one shot.
no, this is Xander from this series, not Xander from the other one. Like, this is good, Xander.
They're
Okay,
both
honey.
dark-haired bad boys. Anywho. Back
Details.
Back to the story. But so there's the lost sea in the sky, and these fairies come through, and their bodies are buried, and then once they've been buried for so long, they come up, and it's essentially a crystal cross, but they're fairies.
Right.
Anyway, so he leaves that for old Grandma Yellowbird and her thing, and that makes them feel better. And then he says, "You know what, boys? 2 12-year-old boys. We should do this more often. We should make the Saturday Night Ghost Club." And then probably Billy first. Yep,
And they were
sounds
also
good.
just like, okay, cool.
Yeah. And I think a big part of this is, for Jake at least, Billy is so like, yes, let's do this. And Jake wants to be friends with Billy. And he even like talks to his dad about like, "Oh yeah, I met this guy, and I think
Yeah, and
we
his
could be
dad's like,
friends."
oh, a
Yeah,
friend?
yeah.
God, I thought my kid was never going to make it.
Yeah.
Well, okay, I think we should talk about Jake's parents really quickly.
Yep.
Jake's dad has a bit of a past. He's a fighting
You seem like
dude.
he's a
I
bit
think
of
he's Irish.
a bit of a bad boy back in the day.
Yes.
Who's on the straight and narrow, works in like an office now, I think, right?
Yeah, he works in finance.
Yeah.
But he used to be
definitely
like
a character from some of our other books.
yes. But they don't.
Yeah,
They don't figure their stuff out.
Yeah, he used to be a real loose cannon.
Very aggressive. Would
Coming
fight in
home.
bars.
Yeah, getting bar
drink
fights every
all the
night.
time. And then Jake's mom is very much was in the band. She like went to protest for animal rights, like kind of goody two shoes kind of vibe.
And she is Calvin's sister. Uncle Calvin is Jake's mom's brother.
Yeah.
Which I did not put that together for so much longer than I should.
No, yeah, in the beginning I thought the opposite. I must
They
have
say
just,
it in the beginning.
Oh, really? Yeah, I must have just had it backwards. But
We didn't have our listening ears on.
Right.
So at one point, Jake's mom breaks it off with Jake's dad because she's like, "You're too much of a loose cannon. I'm not doing this."
Had enough of your shit.
Yeah. So then he cleans up his act. He stops drinking. He stops fighting. He gets a job. More than Susie's exes could do.
Combined.
Zing!
I mean, you said stopped drinking.
She said it first.
Yeah.
She said it first.
That was Susie's joke, everyone.
That
We
was
got
Susie's
permission
joke.
for
I
That's
that.
took
right. That was mine.
She said.
And I'll say it every month.
But anyway, so then she takes him back, and then they're together, and they seem like they're good people. They're good parents.
He grew up. Like,
He grew up.
Right.
He still kind of has that little bit of spice to him,
Yeah.
but
little
Right.
attitude.
he's reformed. But so he's very excited that maybe Billy has a friend because that Jake has a friend because he worries.
But
about
Billy
him.
also has a friend.
Yep,
Sorry
Billy
to
does
jump
have a
on you,
friend too.
but, I mean,
That's also true. Billy and Jake are both having a
anyway.
Thank you. No, I'm just kidding.
This is awesome, guys. Can I come on every week?
You say that we
Since
like
you finished the book, you sure can.
Yes.
Like we practiced with Justin saying the intro first. I would just like to put this in here, and Justin said, "And my co-host," and I was like, we're not co-hosts. You're
I'm
our
sorry.
guest."
I thought this was an equal podcast.
Reads 2 whole books and suddenly.
Suddenly he's a reader.
Look.
So anyway, the Saturday Night Ghost Club is
Official.
formed.
Yes.
So then he talks about, as an adult now, we're back to his neurosurgery. He talks about this little girl who got a tumor in her brain.
Story was, yeah.
That
I
was horrible.
Luckily, they don't conclude what happened to her.
Because she got all better and lived a wonderful,
She got all better
amazing
with
life.
her parents. Anyway, so she gets this
Shut
tumor,
the fuck up.
and it's cancer. And it says, one thing I didn't know is, he says this is why cancer is so aggressive in children, because their bodies are growing and the disease marshals those growth factors for its own ill designs. So because they're growing so
Cancer
quickly,
is
the
such a
cancer
piece of
can
shit.
grow so
Like-
quickly.
Interesting. I didn't know.
I didn't know that. So he talks about her and the tumor, and she doesn't remember who her parents are anymore because it's taken
That
over
part
so
broke
much of
my
her
heart
brain.
so much. I was so sad.
It was really sad. So then, one day, Billy meets Dove. Jake meets Dove, Billy's sister.
Billy also meets Dove.
Billy
One
does.
day they meet.
When he was born, he
Yep.
met Dove. But she is 14.
Yeah, she's
And-
older.
She is the coolest chick.
Yup.
And she is actually the one
I
who
love her.
had the
This
skateboard.
character.
She's the one who stood up for
Yep.
Jake in the very beginning.
Yep.
And Jake sees
He
heart.
is submitting.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Jaw,
so
floor, ooga.
It's like in the cartoons. His
Yeah,
heart's like-
literally. Yeah, I'm picturing the mask when his eyes go, oh, and his jaw rolls down, his tongue rolls out.
He said, well, also he says she's a goddess, and you don't just like goddesses, you worship them. And I'm like,
Yes. Yes, King. Pop off.
that's how you treat a lady, Jake. But so he's immediately in love with Dove, and
Yeah,
she's
she's
the
quite
coolest girl.
Enamored by
Yeah.
exactly, your friend's older sister.
Yes, which I don't think they ever mention it. To me, Dove has purple or blue hair. She's that girl to me. I don't think she probably does, just because they are Native American. I think for the most part they're very particular about their hair. But in my brain, she has blue or
She's
purple.
very fiery and
In my
Very.
So my fan fiction was that she had reddish hair, even though I know that's not right, but just a
She's got
sassy
color hair.
Spitfire redhead.
yes. Yeah.
But
Susie?
she.
I right. I'm like, yeah, about those.
She said, I am Dove.
Susie, you're projecting.
Like, oh.
She doesn't give a fuck. She says anything to anybody.
Yeah.
She kicks that bully's ass.
Yeah.
Dove is the coolest red-haired bitch.
Be like, oh, Dove is teenage me. Oh, shit. With self-confidence.
Yeah. You got that when you were older.
Yeah, that came on later.
But Dove has, like, your first, I guess, kind of like you realize it's her introduction. She's a hustler also. She's got a salamander gig going with the pet shop.
Businesswoman.
Yeah.
Down the street.
Yeah, she's spitting chew.
She chews. But when she spits it dribbles down her chin.
Yeah, she's not the best at it. She said, that's okay, I'm just learning. Even I liked how even that like didn't phase her. She wasn't like embarrassed by it. She was all, oops, I just started yesterday.
But she's like breeding these salamanders and taking them to the pet shop, and they give her $10 a piece. She just found these salamanders, just for the record.
Yeah,
She
just
said
started
they're
business.
looking to breed. Okay, Dove.
Cool. That's great, honey.
Yeah, but so they're like at their house, and Billy and Dove's mom comes out, and it's like, come on in, have a sandwich or something, go wash your hands. And they notice she has a limp, which we come to find out is because Billy and Dove's dad was abusive, and then he ended up leaving. So
It was actually Billy's grandpa who gave her the limp.
yeah, but
Just
the
like
dad.
hit her with a piece of wood.
I don't know.
Instead, he,
like, brain forgot, read this. I'm like, huh?
no, yeah, it was like,
Half of this is just Susie learning.
Susie, did you read the book?
I swear.
And then also, she tells Dove, "Did you take your medication today?" And Dove like gets all like,
What does she say?
Yeah, she kind of just like storms inside.
She
Yeah,
said
exactly.
really, like, her response was really weird, though. I remember reading it, like, I'll go take it directly, or I'll something directly, and I was like, that's a really weird way to say it. Like,
Yeah,
I'll take my
she's
pills.
clearly feels a way about it.
and she doesn't like taking the medication because it like dulls her down. Essentially, I'm pretty sure she's bipolar. I think that's what it actually is.
Something like that.
Yeah, because they say she's always by the sun, but she gets both effects of by the sun. She's either 100% or is like really down.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I think, yeah,
it's
Billy
an
says
extreme, one extreme or the other.
Right, she's like the sun. She burns really, really hot all day until she just like,
Oh, and if it
Is no
growing up
more.
in a traumatic household, I guess BPD would make a lot of sense.
Yeah, I was pretty sure she was bipolar. But Billy kind of explains it to Jake.
he starts the conversation off by when the next time that Billy and Jake are hanging out, he goes, "Do you like my sister?" And Jake go like,
No. God.
"No. Why would you even ask me that?"
And then in his internal dialogue, that's when he talks about what a goddess
Dearest
Dove is.
diary,
Yeah,
we are
exactly.
in love.
No.
Literally. What? Why would you? Huh?
Yeah, and then Billy says, "Well, you know she takes medication."
Yeah.
You know she takes pills.
Yeah.
Um.
But then he gets like, kind of like embarrassed, like, "Oh, I shouldn't have said that."
Yeah.
Yep, like,
But he
he
still
feels
kind
bad
of
about
explains
it.
it to him
Yeah.
of like the medication just kind of helps her, so she's not really one way or the other. Like it just kind of helps her stay in between. So it does kind of dull the sun.
But it kind of picks up the
Yeah.
The orange brings me up, the blue brings me down. The white keeps the voices. I'll have to show you that. It's a really old Vine, and it's really funny. I'll show you guys.
Okay.
Somebody watching this has seen that, and I know they have it. It's funny, okay?
The voices. But so we have the first Saturday night ghost club night, and it is at this old. It's like a house that was completely burned,
It's gonna be a banger. Watch out.
yeah.
Woohoo!
and there's like this tunnel.
The
leading-
screaming tunnel.
The screaming tunnel
Yeah.
leading into it.
This.
I
story
guess
kind
we
of-
should probably talk about Lex really quick.
Sure.
Lex is
Ah.
Uncle Calvin's best friend,
Mm-hmm.
and he owns the shop right next to him. So that's kind of he wears a lot
Two
of turtlenecks.
crazy old men that own stores
Yeah.
next to each other.
Yeah. I didn't really realize in the beginning that they are like actually BFFs. In the beginning, I kind of thought he was just like the shop owner next door, and Uncle Calvin's obviously like a cool, fun guy. So I thought they were just like buddies. But in the end, you realize no, they're like lifelong best friends.
Yeah. So he ends up being a part of the Saturday Night Ghost Club. So it's Lex, Uncle Calvin, Billy, and Jake.
Even though Lex is not a believer in all of Uncle Calvin's.
So in this part of the horror movie, we all get real scared.
I'm just letting everybody here know, if any weird shit starts happening, I'm the first person out of here. As we're talking about the Saturday Night Ghost.
No kidding. Yes. Thank you, Alexa.
Yeah, thanks.
Don't worry, Kylie, it's a Sunday.
Thanks, Connor. That makes me feel so much better. So he's a part of the kids. I shouldn't say kids club. The Saturday Night Ghost
The
Club.
Ghost Club. Yes, even though he doesn't believe in all of Uncle Calvin's supernatural things, he still wants to just go hang out with them.
And Uncle Calvin has very extensive stories for
Yes.
all of these places they're going.
Yes, that was the main reason that he reminded me of my grandpa, was because
Yeah.
he is quite
Yes.
a storyteller. He gives you every detail of everything.
Everything.
Just so good.
Yes.
He could just go forever about everything and every detail of it nonstop. And then,
every piece of history that you could
Yep.
possibly know about
Yep.
something.
yeah, and two 12-year-olds are like hanging on the edge of their seat, obviously.
And adults sometimes.
Yes, yep, as I always am too.
Would you like to explain to us the story of the Screaming Tunnel?
Sure, yeah. So they go up there at night, and Uncle Calvin's telling them, I don't remember, could you see where the house was?
No.
No.
He just said it burned
He
down.
says there was a house in the woods. Yeah, the whole thing burned down. There was a husband and a wife lived there, and they had a daughter. And then one day the husband got home from work, and he heard.
The husband went away for work a lot 'cause he was in the railroad. Was that guy that was in the railroad or
I
something?
think,
Yeah, 'cause
I think
there's
so.
the
Yeah,
railroad
because
track.
He was
the
gone a
tunnel
lot. He
is
would
a
have to ride
railroad.
it to work or something.
Yep. The husband gets home one night, and he hears the wife inside with another man. So the husband freaks
I'm
out.
not saying anything.
The husband freaks out and burns the house down, locks the doors from the outside, and burns the house
Which
down.
seems like a total
A little bit of an overreaction.
Slightly.
And then he stood outside with a pitchfork,
Uh-huh.
waiting at the window. At the window.
Yep, because he blocked the door so they couldn't get out the doors. Yeah, so he waited at the window to skewer them if
While
they
they're
break out the
screaming
window.
inside.
Uh-huh.
And his daughter was inside too.
Yep, I don't know if he knew that. I don't think it said anything
He
about.
had to have known.
He didn't think about his daughter at all. He just seemed to get home, hear his
Yeah.
wife inside with another man, and cover the house in gasoline and burn it down.
Like, okay, glad that we remained calm. And thought about
Yeah,
our
yep.
Glad we
took
didn't
the-
overreact here.
Yep, you nailed that one, buddy.
Yeah.
And then I think his daughter like comes running out of the house or something on fire, something
Yeah.
horrific,
Yep,
and then
yep.
dies.
Goes down the tunnel, and
Yep.
that's why it's the screaming tunnel. because
yeah, the
her
daughter's
final
running-
Because you could
cry
hear
was
her
this
Running
way.
down the
Which is just
tunnel,
like, think
alive,
about that
burning.
story. I was disturbed, and I'm an adult, and you're telling this to like a
The first one, the first Saturday, they're in the woods at like 10 o'clock
ease
at
them
night.
in
They're
with
just
like
life
Bigfoot or
lessons,
something.
infidelity,
Oh
big
my
no-no.
goodness, yeah. Yeah, Uncle Calvin told the kids not to tell their parents where they were
Yeah.
going because they're out there like obviously late at night
Yeah.
in the woods. I think they made a campfire and were having some
Yeah.
marshmallows.
Yes.
He's kind of like telling a scary
And how
story.
that
Lex
that
goes
house
and gets
was,
high.
It was really
Yep.
far off the. Yeah.
Yeah, but and Uncle Calvin makes him walk away
Dang,
from the kids.
We Lex it. God, come on. Have I started to lose it? You guys gotta tell
I will
me.
tell you. Actually, who am I kidding? No, I won't, because I'm as delulu as you. The blind leading the blind.
Hi-ho,
Hi-ho.
hi-ho.
Off to
In
find
the
ghosts
woods
we go.
So the Screaming Tunnel, what is
Yes.
like, so explain what the ghost story is.
I think Uncle Calvin says if you go in there right at midnight, if you're standing in the middle of the tunnel, then you can see for a fleeting second the girl that
Yeah, but
burned.
if I did. The way I
Well,
look like it.
okay, so Jake kind of
This-
does see
Yeah,
her.
this was interesting
Yeah.
to me. I think he cleaned it up at the end of the book. But anyway, so yeah, they're in there. The three of them are standing there because Lex stays by the fire because he doesn't care about this stuff. He just wants to come hang out and eat some marshmallows and hang out with the boys on a Saturday. But
Like
so
you do.
Uncle Calvin and the kids are standing in the tunnel. Midnight happens. I don't remember, do they hear anything?
I don't think so.
I think the way Jake says it is he sees like a flash of white. And he thinks he sees, like some kind of glowing clothes.
He sees her because he
And a
passes
girl.
out.
Yeah.
So he definitely sees her.
Right, he sees her, freaks out, and faints.
Yeah.
Yes.
Can you imagine?
Real
You get your
cool.
one friend
Right,
and you
in-
pass out
in
on
front
your
of his
second
boy.
hangout. Your first one's at the graveyard and the second one you pass out. He's like, really screwing this.
Yeah.
So that's their first Saturday Night Ghost Club. And Jake just tells his parents that he's going to go and stay at Uncle Calvin's house.
Yeah, because when he was younger, he would stay at Uncle Calvin's for
Watch
movie
movies
nights.
and stuff like
Because
that.
him and Uncle Calvin seem very close. Obviously,
Yes.
he adores.
Yeah.
Because
It was a
like the
funny
coolest
story
guy.
about how Uncle Calvin got grounded from movie nights with him.
Yeah, because one time they watched a scary movie, so after that, Jake's mom would send him with a movie for him to watch,
Yeah.
so Uncle Calvin couldn't choose
Like,
anymore.
what? Saw 3 was a good choice.
We already watched 1 and 2. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think one important thing is even though Uncle Calvin is nutty, Jake's parents do trust him.
Yeah, he's not crazy. He's just kind of
Not dangerous.
He's
Yes.
not dangerous by any means.
No.
Like they do really trust him with Jake.
And he owns his own business
loves
and
Jake. You can see how
Yeah.
Yes,
genuinely he just loves his nephew. It was-
Absolutely.
See, you read the book, Susie, but the point is you can feel it. It's a
yes,
good story.
yes.
You see it.
Yeah.
Voices. Anyway, so after that, he goes back to Uncle Calvin's house, and he wakes up, and Uncle Calvin is at his kitchen table, and he's sobbing, crying hysterically, and is like, I can't find it, I can't find it, I can't find it, and he's like drawing, and like, I was like,
Yeah, I'm like,
what kind of book are we getting into here? Because I was like, is he possessed? Is that what this is?
This is going to take a real dark turn.
Is he the ghost? So then the next morning, Jake's like, he sees him floating in the doorway. Not floating. He's in the doorway. Anyway, and the drawings, like, one is a woman, and she's underwater, looking up at him. One's like a creature, and then one's like what he would imagine the void being like. And the eyes are so dark, like the paper has ripped.
Yeah, it was
because
like
he was pushing
a
so
demonic
forcefully.
face.
Yeah. Calvin might be a little possessed.
Or in Stranger Things, it's called the Upside Down. So. You wouldn't get it.
Well, you know, in Supernatural, but yeah. I haven't. I've held it in this whole time. I'm doing so good.
It's funny because obviously, like most people watch Stranger Things, we're the minority. But here between the three of us,
definitely.
you're the minority, so we can make
But,
fun
like,
of
what's
you
new?
for knowing this popular
Bones, have you
media.
watched it? Bones, you watched it? Tell me now.
No
That's
comment.
what I said.
So then we go to present day, and we have another patient of his, and his name is Silas Gibson. And he ends up going there because he's getting really bad migraines, and he has a tumor, and he gets it sucked out.
This guy was weird.
This was
This
so
guy
interesting.
This was really interesting to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, okay, so the story is he gets it sucked out, and way back before he met his wife, he had a really bad gambling addiction, a really heavy drinking problem. He ended up cleaning it up. They got married. They had a baby. Years later, he goes in because he has these horrible migraines. He gets it sucked out, and then he starts drinking and gambling again.
And he kind of falls off the wagon.
Yeah, and then he starts cleaning it up, and he goes back because he has migraines again, and the tumor's back. And he tells him just to leave it there because when he has it, he doesn't have the gambling problem or the drinking problem.
Yeah, if
And
he
it
has
was a
this.
benign tumor, which is the whole point why this
Yeah,
surgeon was even like entertaining. Like,
in
yeah,
theory,
Yeah.
though, which he does talk about, like putting pressure on certain parts of the brain, like impulse control and things like that, can be affected. You did kind of learn a lot about like different parts of the brain and like,
It's
weird
true.
things. But as you're reading it, you're like, boop,
Yes,
who cares?
yes.
Back
Yes,
to
some of
grind
them-
tunnel.
Right.
Yeah.
Some of the messages were
I don't
interesting,
care.
but I didn't need it in so many words.
Yeah, but like they all make sense.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, as you go.
Not at the time, but at the end of the
Not
day.
at the time. So then, Dove comes and says, "Hey Jake, you want to go for a bike ride?" And he said, "Boy, do I!" And
Hell yeah, brother.
Yeah.
they go to the occultorium because that's kind of where all the kids start hanging out per se. And Lex is there, and he's like, "You guys want a mission?" And Dove's like, "I'm out." and he sends Billy and Jake on a mission to a witch's house.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
he's being so like, oh, you guys want to go see a witch?
Yeah.
Because
I've
Lex doesn't
never
believe
seen
it.
a witch.
So he's kind of like making fun of it and being like, oh. But it was just fun. The way that he was like spelling it out.
Hyping it all up.
Yeah,
painting
hyping
for
it
them.
up.
Yes,
is a great,
exactly.
Yeah.
Engaging them in like a cool way that they would be like, oh yeah, let's do this.
And he gives them like a cat carrier. And it's like, I need you to go get this cat from this witch's house. And they're like, okay. So they show up, they go in her house, walk in, and then they hear some freaky business going on upstairs. Turns out, good old ex of Lex and the Undertaker getting a little groovy in the downtown. And... which I thought was just kind of an odd thing
Why
to
did they
throw
have to
in
describe
there.
how hairy the Undertaker
It was so hairy.
so unnecessary.
I thought it felt so much like a 90s sitcom of like
Yes.
the guy comes they're in the middle of the
I'm a
day.
lucky
Yeah,
man.
in the middle of the day, guy comes downstairs in his underwear with his socks on. He gets into the refrigerator, takes a big
Orange
swig
juice.
of orange juice. And oh God, I'm a lucky man. And then she calls me upstairs. Oh, I'm waiting. Come back up here.
Yeah,
And then
just waiting to be in your loving arms.
Yeah,
So
yeah. And then he goes running back upstairs.
And they're all, we gotta get out
It
of
was so
here.
campy and just on the nose. It was
Yeah.
funny.
And they're like, who knew he was so hairy? But the cat comes right to them. And the mission's successful.
Yep. So yeah, they call the cat and take it back.
They never see the witch. Also,
No.
she's upstairs the
No.
entire time. But so then after that, we have night number 2, or I guess it's day, which is the sunken car. Tell us about the sunken car.
The sunken car. I'm like,
In the
I
lake.
read /
second
listened to
Ghost
this whole
Club.
thing, and I don't even. I'm spacing this completely.
Tell us about the sunken car.
So Uncle C takes him to this.
Did you read it?
I know, like she's kind of like. I remember the ship. I'm really
Justin's
excited
gonna
about the
start
ship part.
interrogating you.
Yes, Uncle.
The ship?
Yeah, the ship where the guys are stuck in it and stuff, and it warped through space.
Oh yeah. That was cool.
I don't remember that.
I think that already happened. Go ahead and talk about that.
Oh, so there's
That's
one.
in the Lost Sea in the very beginning,
Oh,
where he talks about the aliens
It was
and things
something
like that.
Billy was telling Jake about.
No.
yeah, how some of the soldiers. So there was a ship that had they used magnetic forces and lights, and were trying to bend it and hide it. And anyway, it like went through time. The government was like, whoopsie.
Yeah, they're
And
trying
so,
to like make it invisible.
Like something god awful happens where basically the sailors do that Davy Jones locker shit where they're part of the ship and they're dying.
Oh,
and
yeah.
they're all scarred.
Yeah.
That just
They're
for
like
some reason
welded into the
my
chain.
brain was having a
But not all
heyday
of
with
them,
pictures.
Only like
Yeah.
half of the people.
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool. I thought that was
and
gonna
only a
like come
few
back
of
up
them
at
like
some point. But never
lived to
did.
tell, and then the ones that would tell, only some of them would talk about
Yeah.
it. Like,
And then
That
since
was
then,
like a bonding moment between him and Jake.
Yep,
When they were like
definitely.
hanging out. One of their
Definitely.
first times hanging out,
Yeah.
really. Yeah?
yep.
Okay. Just
Yeah,
to make
I thought
sure
that was
we
really
did
cool.
anything.
Anyway, so the lake.
Yeah, so the lake, they end up taking this boat out, and he tells the story about a man and his daughter, and they're driving across the bridge. They go off the bridge, they hit the frozen ice, they go through it, and both of them drowned. And that's kind of the story. But if you go at a certain time, you can see her floating above the car. Is the
I'm like, this is
Story.
ringing a bell. Okay, I remember.
yeah. So like I feel, which I was kind of like some of this stuff like I don't get what the whole point of this is, but then I was like,
Right.
they're hunting for ghosts. Like that's
Yeah.
that is kind of the whole
For
point.
sure.
But he's like, you got to get in the water because it's a really like shallow kind of lake.
Yeah, Uncle Calvin wants the kids to go swim
Investigate.
down there and check out the car and see if the bodies are still in there.
Yeah, but he said the
yeah.
Undertaker probably took him because he takes all of the bodies in this town.
Yes, he does.
So Dove immediately jumps in the water. Billy gets into the water. Jake has a whole body image moment. He's self-conscious because
Yes,
Dove
'cause-
is there.
Yeah,
Aw.
Jake's
But
a
he
chubbier
gets-
guy.
Yeah, he just decides to get in anyway
Uh-huh.
because they don't care.
Right, Billy and Dove are cool as can be when they
Yeah.
get in their swimsuits and get in the water, and he's like, stop.
At the end of the day, Billy and Dove do not care what his
No.
body looks like at all. And I think that was really great for him because he has been picked on because of it. So then Dove and Billy are like the coolest people ever, and they're
And they're body
You're cool.
positive
Yeah.
in the 80s. Holy shit.
But so they like swim down there, and then they come back up, and they're like, "Yep, there's the car." And he's like, "Oh, there's no bodies in there." And he's like, "Nope, just the car." And he's like, "Okay, good."
Yeah.
What was your plan if there was, Calvin?
And then they just hang out at the river or the lake for the rest of the
and then
day.
they see Lex on the shore, and he's watching them, and he kind of has like a sad look on his face.
Yeah, he didn't go with them that time. This time they just saw him, and then when they see him, I think he like turns around and leaves, right?
Yeah, but he's like, I think he like hangs his head, and then he leaves.
Yeah, he's observing them for some reason.
Yeah. After that, Dove and Jake are hanging out. They go to the hospital. They help her mom for a few hours in the hospital, like stocking supplies and things like that. Because
Her mom was an ER nurse, right?
Some sort of nurse. I don't know if you remember.
So Dove randomly, after they get done hanging out with her mom at work, is like, all right, I'm going to head out. Like, I'm going to head straight to a Greyhound bus station, and I'm just going to go here.
Yeah.
Whatever will cost me $24.
Yeah, and she just walks up, and Jake
'Cause she cashed in
is
herself,
trying to
made her money.
talk her out of it in his shock. And, like, in the way that I would imagine Eric would try to talk me out of something. I'll be like, I just want to do this thing. He'd be like, but you didn't plan. And, like,
No,
you gotta
he's
think
just
this through.
flabbergasted.
But what about? And I'm like, can you just, like, roll?
I'm just going to get on this bus at the ripe age of 14.
Yeah.
I am
go
a
and
grown-ass woman.
Yeah, so
Like,
I'll take a
I'm
ticket
joining
to
the
somewhere
circus.
far away. Yeah.
And I believe there was one part where she said, like, I just brought you so that maybe someone would try to talk me out of it.
Yeah.
But, like, I'm not going to listen is basically it. So she goes on.
Leaves.
Yep, he
and
tries to talk her out of it, and it doesn't
is
work.
panicking. So he calls her family, is like, guys.
Nobody answers us, so he leaves a message.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
he
he's
like stays on there as long as he can.
Do you
for
remember
his
what
10
it was
minutes.
like to leave a message at your friends, like, on their phone? Oh, I used to, like, 'cause that's where my anxiety started.
Hi.
Susie, your
I was
age is
just
showing.
wondering-
Shut the fuck up.
I was just wondering if
I didn't say it was my
So-and-so.
rotary phone. I
Yeah.
just said
Susie, nowadays us kids just TikTok our friends' parents, okay?
TikTok.
You guys
Our
back in your
friends'
day did it
parents.
differently. Yeah.
Hey Teresa, saw this TikTok. I thought
That's-
you might like.
That's how,
DM real quick.
that's how us youths do it.
That's youths.
Justin really thinks he's like hip with the slang. We went and played laser
I
tag.
don't think nothing.
Everybody, we went and played laser tag.
Yep.
I
We did.
had
Yep.
proven my skills. Everyone was so impressed. And Justin was on a team with 2 little kids.
Oh my god. Yes, we had a game that had like 30 people waiting to get in this room.
Yeah,
There's
it was
four,
a busy night.
There's
for
4
laser tag.
teams. Yeah, so everybody flocks to these 3 colors. And then there's like 2 10-year-olds on the green team. And so I'm like, this is where I belong.
He said, just us guys,
Yeah.
just us. What did you tell them?
I don't remember what I said.
Yes, you did.
I hit them with some
What'd
skibbity
you say?
riz.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, kid
No,
talk.
kid talk. Silly.
It was
Anyway.
awesome. And then we dapped up and got our asses kicked.
Yeah. And I just tried not to embarrass her. Like,
You did pretty good. Connor did pretty good.
Yep.
I was impressed.
Connor was
Yeah.
a standout. For
He
his-
was in
for-
the medium
for the rookie.
thousands.
Yeah, he did
Yes.
great.
Yes.
Yeah. Justin beat me 1 game.
Yes,
Everybody.
I did.
Okay.
So then, a few days later, Dove shows up at his house because,
Oh, yeah, she's like, I'm back again.
well, Billy and his mom essentially went and picked her up, and she had went to a concert, got some donuts.
And honestly, it was
Went
kind of
home.
wholesome. Like, when I found out what she did, I'm like, oh.
Well, I think it kind of talks about her mom being very worried, what she's gonna do when she's older because she is so impulsive and lives this life to 1,000.
Yep.
She's really
Yeah,
worried
she will
about.
just do anything.
She has no concept of consequences.
No.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Now, I have some people in life just for some reason, are excluded. They do.
Yeah.
And it makes me angry. I'm like, the fuck?
The fuck. Anywho, sorry. Good old Uncle Cal came out there. Just kidding. So then after that, Dove shows up at his house and is like, I got some fireworks. You want to go set them off in the scrapyard?
Yeah.
And this is his first time seeing Dove again. And
Since
he's
that
like,
happened, yeah. She just totally, I think Billy's there too, and they both just act like nothing's happening. He's like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Which this would be me as a kid.
Yeah.
100%. I'm not going around you anymore. Do you have any idea how worried I've been? Like,
yeah, literally. Jake is in over his head.
Yes.
No.
But he's like,
gone. You could have died.
But he's like, we're on the street. Let me ask my mom.
Yeah, because he's grounded.
Yeah.
And his mom
For
is
staying
not
out
a
too
big
late.
fan of her.
Not a
No.
big fan of Dove.
No.
They were getting into his dad's Playboy
Oh, God,
magazines, which then caused a whole
That
thing
was
with the
so
parents.
funny.
I
was
love
like the
reading that
funniest part of the book. So after, so Dove and Jake are hanging out at his house.
Rewind.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
was like weeks prior.
Right, Dove and Jake are hanging out at his house. They find some of his
in the
dad's
basement.
old Playboy magazines, and they're looking at them, and then they put him back in the box.
They
but
get busted. Yeah.
Well, I don't think his mom sees them. They hide him back in the box, but they don't put it back where it was.
Well,
and so then,
I
was
think
sitting
she
on the
knows.
box.
Really? You think
so?
Yeah.
anyways, a couple weeks later, Jake gets home, and his mom and dad are fighting, and his mom's like,
What were you
What
keeping
do you-
those for anyway?
and
Like
his dad's like, well, back in the day, they actually were literature, and actually
the
they had
articles are
really
really
interesting think pieces and interviews with authors and whatnot.
And
his
then he
mom's
says
like,
something
yeah,
about
okay, buddy.
I was saving them for the will or something. I was
The
gonna
inheritance.
check. Yeah.
Well, there goes your inheritance, Jake.
And this guy was hilarious fight about it. Yeah, and then Jake shows up, and his dad uses him to kind of
Yeah, get out
bail
of
himself
it.
out
Yeah.
of it.
But
I thought that
also,
was so funny.
Jake's mom knows that Dove chews and things like that, and she just like
Yes,
doesn't
and she's
really.
older.
She's a bad influence.
Yeah, doesn't really.
You gotta watch
want-
out for them older girls.
She's an addict, yeah. Justin and I are like a few months apart.
Well, you're an older girl.
But compared to Mr. Bones here,
The
Well,
millennial.
yeah, Susie, you're a spring
Gen
chicken.
Z over
Whereas
here. Yeah,
this guy.
you're a spring chicken.
I don't remember what Jake got grounded for.
There was some sort of disagreement with like punishment, and then the dad was like,
Yeah, that was a weird
"You
thing.
can't be too harsh on him." It had to have been like something with his friends saying up
Yeah,
too late.
I know they
or
stayed out
being
too late because she
late.
wanted him home. But yeah, there was a weird thing where his mom
Yeah.
was like, well,
2 weeks you're
You're
grounded.
grounded.
She was
Yeah.
just, like, mom just needed to feel powerful.
I
Like,
guess
real
so,
bad.
yeah,
I remember being
after-
a kid sometimes being like, here we
yeah,
fucking go. Like, she'll get over it in a couple
yeah.
days.
And then when his mom says that, Jake and his dad are both like, wait, what?
Huh?
Seriously, because Jake's a pretty good kid.
Yeah.
Like,
I pictured him and the dad.
he's got
2
his
weeks!
face right.
yeah.
Yeah.
You gotta talk to her, man. Be like,
Yeah.
I'll do my
Anyways,
best.
that was just kind of a weird thing.
Basically. Yeah. But anyway, so at the scrapyard, they go and this whole thing was
Terrifying.
icky.
Uncomfortable
Yeah.
and weird.
So they're going and they have like their fireworks, and this guy.
Creepy older man.
Because they say the scrapyard is very like abandoned, and kids go there to kind of cause trouble, and it's right
Yeah.
next to the train tracks. So sometimes there's homeless people who are riding the tracks,
And
hanging out
Dove
there.
said, "Sign me up."
Yeah,
I'm gonna
right.
be
And so
there."
of course, yeah, Dove takes him there to
She was
be
like,
a
danger,
bad bitch.
somewhere I shouldn't be.
Yep,
something that's
exactly.
something, like for kids older than me, perfect.
Yeah, so they're sitting there, and this guy comes out, and it turns really like icky vibes towards Dove.
It gets like, hey, little lady, how you doing?
Very
Yeah.
quick, yeah. So they're setting
And
fireworks
she
off,
kind of plays into it,
right? And
but
then-
like with purpose.
yeah, this guy gets out of a car and he's like really rough and gruff looking, and it's just being kind of weird. It's like, oh, you kids want to have some fun?
And I believe he
Like
has a
to
tire
burn
iron
stuff?
at one point, and that's what
Yeah.
I don't think he has it yet. I think that's
It's
later.
later,
But
yeah.
he's being just very weird and creepy. And
Icky.
Dove pretty much just like takes over the
Clocks it.
situation
Yeah.
immediately, and she just kind of like starts
That's my
playing
girl.
this guy.
That's
Yeah.
my lady.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, Jake can kind of see that Dove and Billy both just kind of like walk in.
Yeah.
And
He's
are
like,
like. Getting
Like,
he's just
they
like, oh my
sense
god, like who
danger.
the hell is this guy? Like,
Yeah.
what's going on?
Sweet,
Oh,
wholesome Jake who's never been traumatized.
Yep,
Like,
exactly.
Mom, can you come get me?
Exactly, yeah. And
Exactly.
Dove and Billy
I'm where I'm
like,
not supposed to be, and I'm sorry.
Yeah.
yeah.
Dove made me.
You can grab
Yeah.
me for like a month, but just kept saying me.
Yeah.
But yeah, Dove
But
and Billy
she's
just
like-
lock in.
She's like making this dance or whatever, and she has the lighter.
Yeah, this guy's being weird and pervy, and she like recognizes
pervy.
it, and so yeah, she
Yeah.
starts kind of like
playing
doing
into
it
it,
back,
kinda.
and yes,
then
exactly.
she-
manipulating
Ew, David.
him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She throws the lighter towards Billy. Billy takes a firework, lights it, shoots it at the guy.
Yeah.
And then they.
Yeah,
which-
they kind of like just
That's some good
silently come
sibling
up with
teamwork.
right.
Yeah.
They just come up with a little plan together because
Yeah.
Jake's watching them like kind of
In awe.
interact with each other. Yeah, so
He's like-
yeah, right. So Billy shoots the guy with the whatever
Roman
those are
candle
called.
is
Yes,
kind
Roman
of the way
candle.
I see
Yep,
it.
yep.
And then like
And they run.
comes up to him. No, then they do it again.
Oh really?
They
Oh no,
get
yeah, you're right.
closer to him
You're right.
and do it again. Which I'm like,
Yeah, they like lift
Grant,
his shirt up and do it under his
hey,
shirt or something.
I've never been hit with a fire firecracker or whatever,
Or the
Roman candle.
if
But I feel like that would do some
fucking
serious
nerds.
damage.
It seemed like it did, yeah.
But then they like
He
take
had a big
off.
beard, and they said it like burned his beard all off.
Yeah, I don't. They kind of like describe him as like this mangled monster.
Yeah, after they shoot him with the fireworks.
A beast.
Yep, from then on, right, they call him the beast and describe him as kind of like an animal hunting them.
Yeah. So then they like run, and then they take the wrong path, and so they're
Right,
not
because
the
there's
path
like
where their
rows and
bikes
rows of
are.
crushed cars.
Yeah, and then it's
So
like
they get lost.
a scary movie where he's like walking and going
And
to
they're
find
under
him,
the cars.
and he's got the
Yeah, they're
tire
sitting under the
iron, and
cars.
it's like, ugh. Anyway, they
And
get
then they
out.
hear him.
This part actually, like, my blood was pumping
Yeah,
when I was
it's
listening to this,
scary.
and I'm like, no.
Because it's like real danger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, not to say that ghost stuff isn't danger, but like
But
this is real
was
danger.
Like, yeah,
It's
this was like
so
a
much
villain.
more tangible.
Yeah.
Like, this is real life shit that, like, this guy is up to no good.
Yeah,
If a ghost chased me with a tire iron I could see, you best believe that
That's a strong ghost.
Like,
to be able to
Jesus
pick up a tire
Christ.
iron,
Yeah.
you're screwed. honey, that's attached to you at that point.
And there's one point when I think it's when they're under the cars and they hear him like walking around looking
Yeah.
for him with a tire iron, and they hear him kind of muttering to himself like, "Just do it! Like you can just hop on
Yeah,
the train
yeah,
and leave
yes,
town. Like
yes.
these little
Just
fucking brats
do it.
deserve it. Like just do it and then get out of town."
You'd
And it's
like
like, oh
it
my
or something
God.
like
yeah,
that.
you deserve it. You'd like doing it. You know you would. Just
Yeah.
do it and then go. It's like,
You're
oh.
like, so this wasn't his first kill.
That's immediately what I thought.
Feeling it.
Which is like also like that's why I don't really know if this would be why or not, because there's a lot of like murder.
True.
You know.
A lot of unaliving happening.
Yes. Once he like passes them and they're hiding underneath the car, they get out of the car and they run and they find their bikes and they go home.
And it was a very, I can imagine, like a very sobering, horrible ride home.
Yes, yeah. They said they're all doing the thing where you're like standing up on your bike, like you're not sitting in your seat, you're standing up, like
Yeah.
pedaling your ass
What if
off.
he's chasing us?
Exactly. Yep. Nick said the whole way home he kept expecting to like pop out from behind
Yeah.
a tree or something,
Terrifying.
which is reasonable. That sounds pretty scary. And then he goes home. He doesn't tell his parents anything. He goes to sleep.
Yeah.
Classic.
So then we have the second to last Saturday Night Ghost Club, and he takes them to this house that had burned down, but it's still kind of there, and he tells the story.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to say the story?
You better help me out.
So this is kind of the main one of this man and wife, very much
Oh.
in love.
Oh,
She's pregnant.
The story. Sorry. Okay.
She's
yep.
pregnant.
I was like, great. What did ADHD forget again? I'm so fucking sorry. Yes, Justin.
Before they go to this one, Lex is being much more like kind of almost like
Apprehensive.
helicopter parent kind of with Uncle Cal, and yeah, just being a lot more
I
attentive.
think that moved again.
Quit touching that. He's being much more,
mean Cal.
yes, much more apprehensive and like parental with
Yeah.
Uncle Cal, and
Which
like
is weird for that.
Yeah,
Do you
we
think
don't really
this
have
is
any-
a good idea? What
Yep.
are you doing?
yeah, we don't really have any
Yeah.
reason to understand why he's like
Yeah.
kind of babying him almost,
Yeah.
but Uncle Cal's just like kind of, but also kind of not. He's also
He's
see a couple
starting
times where he's
to
like
have
kind
like an
of-
emotional reaction to
yeah,
something.
where he's very emotional, and Jake doesn't really like have any idea why. He's not
And,
acting
like-
like his normal eccentric Uncle Calvin.
And like I don't think Uncle Calvin even knows why
No.
he is having these kind of reactions. Like with the car underneath the water. Did you find anything? No. Oh, okay, good. But like he
It's
doesn't
like-
really know why.
Yeah, he was kind of definitely off that day when they
Yeah.
were going for the car. It was kind of like a little more sullen and just
Yeah.
like they're just like kind of doing stuff, not like his usual. Oh, and he has funny
Which
little
then at the end of
sayings.
the book,
And,
you like have a little 30 seconds of like,
yep, definitely. I definitely thought about the rest of the stuff that happened. I was like, oh.
Okay, before we get into that, everybody,
Got
just a
that.
couple of sad bitches.
Connor said,
We're back?
"Hurry up."
All right, sorry.
Yep, let's go, bitches.
Okay. We had a slight seating change because
Yes.
we have a problem with
He was
cameras.
lonely.
I got lonely over there. I said, I want to sit with the girls on the couch.
He's a Girl Scout.
But good news is
Yes.
I look like I'm tall now, so I'm happy about that. Okay, so
Where were we?
we have the story of the burned house.
Yes.
A man and a woman. I don't know where it cut, so I'm just gonna.
A husband
yes.
and a wife who were dearly in love.
That loved each other in their perfect little forest home to move out of the city, and she was pregnant, and he was wholesome and off at work or doing something. Just
He was in the house.
he
They were
was
home.
Yeah,
Just
but she let in these men, and they ended up stabbing her.
Don't answer your door when someone
Yeah.
fucking knocks.
A guy knocked on the door and said he was lost in the woods and he needed help. So
I'd be like, that's too damn bad. Slam the door.
They let him in. He snatches a knife off the counter and cuts the phone line. And they go, that was kind of weird. I wonder what's up with that.
Shady.
And then he taps the knife on the window, and a couple other guys come in the house, and they're all like,
It's an aggressive form of
Creepy.
startling.
yeah, vagrants.
And they stab her, and then I don't know where he's at. He's unharmed, but he doesn't fight them off or anything.
Gaming, blissfully
No,
unaware
just
with the canceling headphones.
So then, once they leave, don't mess with that. Once they leave, he, I was gonna yell at you for sound, so. Once they leave, he comes, he takes her, he hotwires his car because they cut the wires, and drives her to the hospital. She ends up passing away. He moves back into the house, and Fidget machine.
I'm laughing so much. Finally, I'm not alone. I don't have bracelets, or I took my hair tie off, so I
Not
couldn't
allowed. Yeah. But he moves back into the house and then feels like the house is haunted by her and she's in everything and he sees her everywhere and he burns the house down.
Yeah, because the kids are confused after she dies. I remember Billy was like,
They're like, wait, what?
so what, the house is still there?
Yeah.
Because this time, for the ghost story, there
It's like
actually is a burned down house
Bones.
there.
Yeah, but it's like bones of a house.
Right, yeah, you could see the structure of a house that had
Yeah.
burned down. Because the first one he says it's a burned down house, but they're just like in the woods.
It's down
Yeah.
to the studs.
Yeah. And then the kids are like, oh, wow, crazy, okay. And Uncle Calvin is very upset and
Yes,
he's
he's
crying. And the kids
very
don't really know
emotional.
why. And Lex is like, you guys go walk somewhere. I don't
He's like,
remember
just
what he
don't
tells
be
them.
here.
He just says, you guys, take a
You
hike
guys
for a
need
minute.
to go for a second. And then he's like trying to calm him down.
He's
and
consoling him and like puts a blanket around him. He
Yeah.
obviously knows something about
What's happening.
why, Calvin's reacting like this.
And then he kind of tells Jake, don't worry, he just needs to reset. He'll be okay tomorrow. He just needs to reset. And he's like,
Sorry?
what an odd
really know what
choice
that
of
means.
words. Yeah.
Say again?
So then after that,
Sorry, Lex drives the kids home.
Whoa!
and goes back for Uncle Calvin because they're just like completely lost. So he throws their bikes in the back of the van and drives them home. And Jake is home and is like, oh, that's pretty weird. I don't think I'm going to tell my parents about it.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, he does.
But so then the next day or whenever, Billy and Jake are hanging out, and long story short, Percy and Terry end up shooting Billy in the neck with a BB gun.
Because they're randomly just sitting in front of his house. They're sitting on the sidewalk and he gets shot in the neck with a BB gun. Turns around and goes, this is that son of a bitch Percy's house.
And then he takes a rock or a brick and throws it through his window, and then there's like confrontation. You're gonna pay for my window.
And Jake's like riding the adrenaline. He's like,
Yeah.
I didn't even.
I'm not doing nothing.
I didn't even know I was gonna do that. I don't even know like what words I'm saying. I'm like, no, screw you. You shot me,
He
you prick.
stands up for himself, essentially.
Which is like-
And he like can't
Yes.
even believe it
Yeah.
himself.
Yeah, he's like, just wait till my dad finds out, and blah, blah, blah. Which, like, he doesn't know. Jake's got, like, the OG gangster of
That's
a dad.
true.
You know, like, he's like, oh, yeah? Just wait
Okay.
till my dad finds out. So he goes home. Dad asks him about it. Go ahead.
You forgot the most important part where Percy keeps the apple in his mouth and Jake steps forward and punches him in the face and breaks his nose.
Oh, yeah.
So I think Jake, because he could see like out of the corner of his eye, Billy was like getting his little locked in.
yeah.
So he's like, all right, well, Billy can kick both these kids' asses. So like, I'm not
But
really
they
too
don't know
worried.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not too worried. I think that kind of gives him the confidence to be like, well, Billy's here, so I'm safe, so I'll stand up for myself. So yeah, Percy's running his mouth and Jake steps forward, just decks him right in the nose and breaks his nose, and
This is
Percy
the
falls
part-
on the ground and the church and runs in his house.
I loved it when Jake's mom gets involved here. She's
Yeah.
like, when the Percy's Karen of a mother is, you're gonna pay for my son's nose.
What
And
about
they're
his
like,
nose?
honey, I'm trying to care. Like,
Yeah?
I'm trying to care. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
Get her!
It's literally like that. There's the door, bitch.
There's the door!
So, Percy's dad comes to Jake's house after Jake told his dad what happened.
And Jake's
he's
dad was like,
bleeding.
sick. Awesome.
Yeah.
You told
That's
that
my
little
boy.
punk ass.
Giving me a reason.
That's
also.
awesome. And Jake's dad himself is like getting all fired up because like, that kid shot you in the neck with a BB gun. And so then Jake's
Can you
dad,
imagine?
Jake's
Me?
dad has sounded like literally.
Let's go.
Jake's dad has sounded like he's about to like hightail it over to
What's
Percy's
that
house
kid's name?
so
Yeah.
he could kick Percy's dad's ass. And as he's like getting that plan together, Percy and his dad pull up, and Percy's dad gets out. He's like, "Is that your little son of a bitch and son who broke my kid's nose?"
I don't know. Is
Yeah,
that
we
your
know.
bitch ass kid?
Yeah.
Like,
It's so funny. It just right. It literally just like graduates after the dads are beefing with each other for nothing.
Well, and then Jake's dad kind of like is bad mouthing and waits for Percy's dad to throw the first punch. And he
like a
takes it.
skilled fighter. You don't start it, you finish
He
it.
takes it, and then Josh gets Percy's dad,
Yeah, he gets punched, falls on the ground. Jake said he stood right back up.
knocked him out. I'm pretty sure.
Punched
Yeah.
Percy's dad in one hit, and then
And then
said,
put him back in their car.
and then he said, "Jake, go get some ice. He's gonna have a headache when he wakes up." And it was like, "Damn, that was so sick."
I
Coolest
just kind of
character
like
in the book.
It
Jake's
was
dad.
such a cold line. I just pictured me like, "Yeah, he's gonna have a headache tomorrow."
And like his knuckles didn't even bruise. Like, he didn't even notice.
But it ends up getting resolved. They go to the hospital. They're like, "You're gonna press charges, really?"
It
like,
didn't happen in today's world where they're exactly.
Yeah.
Anyway, so it's all resolved.
Yeah, and that's when
Jake-
Percy's mom shows up and she's throwing a fit.
My son.
And
Like,
then Jake's mom was like,
oh my god.
You
"Bitch, I don't
know,
give a fuck."
Yeah.
But so then after that, they are gonna have another Saturday Night Ghost Club, and Jake is not really wanting to go at this point. It is at the cemetery, and he finally
This
tells
was
his
just
parents.
Jake and Uncle Calvin, though.
Yeah. And he finally tells his parents what's been going on, and they're like,
Bruh.
"What the fuck, man?" Like, okay, but like, the decent parents. So they're like, "All right, well, we wish you would have told us sooner,
Yeah.
but this is what we're gonna do." And so what ends up happening is Jake goes and meets Uncle Calvin at the cemetery for Black Agnes, which is his newest ghost
That's
story.
this ghost.
This
And-
part was so
Yeah.
sad.
And Jake's parents are like, "You go there just like normal. We're gonna follow you."
And just act
We're
like
gonna-
we showed up.
Yeah, we're gonna
Just
tail
to make
him.
sure everything's okay.
Yeah.
That's essentially what it is. And
And Jake was like talking about how he felt really bad that he was kind of like betraying
Yeah.
his uncle, and he was like snitching on him and wearing a
Yeah.
wire because he obviously had like been having a blast hanging
summer
out with
of
his
his
uncle.
life,
Right.
yeah.
And he could like tell obviously something was going on from like the way his parents reacted to
Yeah.
him going and do it, and they were like, "This is not good."
Yeah.
So he's kind of just like, "Okay,
His
I
spidey
guess."
senses were tingling.
yeah.
But I felt bad for him.
I did too. It, like the confliction of it.
Right,
Of,
'cause
like you
like
feel
you-
like you're betraying him.
Right, you're like probably doing the good thing, but it feels so bad and wrong to be doing it.
But so essentially the story with Black Agnes is it's this statue of this woman, and it's a headstone is really what it is. But the story is they were going for a walk down the river. She ended up losing her daughter along the river. They don't really know what happened to her. She's very sad, very depressed. She ends up passing away 5 years later. So then it's kind of like this whole ghost story of her in this cemetery, and then apparently there was like a kid found in her arms, and the cause of death was like she was squeezed to death because Black Agnes thought that it was her daughter, and so she
So
was
she
like,
picked her up and hugged her so hard that
she died.
I had
Killed
to
her.
listen to this part on audiobook like more than once because I was like, oh, wait.
Huh?
it was kind of weird.
Yeah. And
Probably
then the
should
parents.
have done that with a couple other chapters.
Yeah.
It's okay. We live and we learn.
It's
You
it's
read the
hard.
whole book, and
Yeah,
that's
you
what
know.
counts.
Yeah, not all of us did.
So then his parents show up and are like, "Oh, hey guys,
What are you doing here?
And
How's
Uncle,
it
Uncle
going?
Calvin immediately goes, like to Jake, and he said he looks at him like injured,
And I
like,
imagine Jake being like,
yeah. Hey, Mom. Hey, Mom and Dad.
hey guys.
But they're essentially like, "Oh, we'll give you a ride home, da 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 da," and then he's like, "Oh, we're just checking out Black Agnes," and Jake's mom's like, "Oh yeah, I think you've told me about her before," and he's like, "You know the story?" And she's like, "Yeah, you told me the story," and she has like a flashlight and she shines it on the headstone, and it's Lydia Sharp, right?
Yes.
And he's like, "Weird, she's got the same last name as us." And she's like, "Oh yeah, it must be weird." And he goes, "You know, maybe no, I don't think I know a Lydia."
And the mom's kind of like prodding him a little bit. She's like, "Yeah, that is weird. You think you ever met her?" or anything?"
Yeah.
And he's like,
There's a lot of those sharks
I don't
in
really-
this town. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. He's like, "Man, I don't think so." And she's like, "Huh? Are you sure?" And
Yeah.
he's like, Nope.
Yeah. And so they end up taking him home, or that he goes home because he drove.
Yeah, I think the dad. Yeah, you're right.
The mom goes with Calvin.
Mm-hmm.
You're right.
She
And then
drives
the
him
dad
home,
takes
adult.
Jake.
the dad
Somebody-
takes Calvin
yep.
home.
Yeah.
I
And
like
they,
how I talked about Calvin like he was a child. An adult took Calvin home. Like, don't worry.
then they sit Jake down at the table with like a root beer. I'm pretty sure.
They pour a couple
They're
hot
like,
cocos.
You're gonna need this.
Yeah.
They pour some
A
hot
root beer
cocos, and the
neat.
mom pours some Jameson. in
Yeah, she
hers.
said, give mine a little something.
Irish
something.
mine up.
Yep, that's what she said.
And they tell Uncle Calvin's story.
Yeah.
Uncle Calvin's story.
Anyway, so we'll
Let
see
me
you guys
just-
next month for the next
Yeah.
book.
Let me just say, I finished this book first. Surprise, surprise. And I was crying. I was literally in the group
Was
chat.
unwell.
I'm about to cry. Because
And
I
then
was like,
I'm crying.
Yeah, 5:25. This is gonna make me cry. 5:27. I'm literally crying.
I was crying because I'm gonna cry now. He's such a good person.
He is. He's so sweet.
He's
Oh my God.
And
so
the rest of
sad.
this last story, the rest of the book kind of, like, you have a lot of,
Yeah.
So this will be full of spoilers. This is very depressing.
Yes.
This is
Yeah.
very
This is
sad.
the
This is
last.
very triggering. So Uncle Calvin has already basically told the sad story. So that story about the person in the house was actually Lydia. And so what happened was...
Which is Lydia's his wife.
Lydia Sharp was Uncle Calvin's wife. So Uncle Calvin was at a time, I won't say normal, but he lived
He
differently.
was studious almost.
Yes,
He was
He
like
was the
a
opposite of.
scientist and
Yep.
like very by the fact.
Yep, he was a
and-
physicist.
Yeah.
He was the opposite of
He didn't
how
really
he is
believe
now.
in it. If you couldn't see it, feel it,
Yep.
prove
Yeah.
it, he didn't believe
Right,
in
he
it.
lived by the evidence of the eye. But he
And,
fell in love with this chick named Lydia,
Yep.
who was very much like he is now. She was
Yeah,
into
she was
supernatural stuff,
eccentric.
and yeah, they went and did palm readings and tarot cards, and he
Yeah.
didn't really care about any of it, but he did it all
For
just to
her.
entertain her.
Because he was so in love with her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So then they found a house in the
That
middle
was
of nowhere.
off the
Off in
main
the woods, away
road,
from the
out in the
city.
middle of nowhere.
Even though he didn't like it, because he was like a pragmatist, and he was like, well, we're just like farther away from everything and stuff, but he knew that it would be cool and fun for them to have their own lives
She
out
was
there.
pregnant.
The book
And-
specified that she was well into her second trimester.
And that she
And
was
that they were very excited. And then there was a
pregnant.
fateful knock on the door. And Uncle Calvin's wife was actually the one that was assaulted and basically unalived by two strangers in the home.
People that had just gotten out of
Of
like
prison.
a psych ward.
Yes,
is what
that's
it
what it
was.
was. It was an
Yeah.
asylum. And they literally just, we saw lights on the side of the road and went up to the house. Uncle Calvin then finds her. He scoops her up, takes her into the vehicle. His battery cables have been cut. He is able to hotwire the vehicle, gets her on the road. It's a snowstorm. He ends up trying to get to the hospital. Fishtails goes over the bridge. They both go into the river, and only Uncle Calvin comes out.
Yeah.
Uncle Calvin sustains such a severe brain injury that he's put into a coma for how long? He wakes up, has no idea he was ever married, had a child. He doesn't even know the attack happened. To this day, he still doesn't know. And the whole family decided to go with it because they didn't want to re-traumatize him again.
Yeah. And the way the mom put it,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, everyone, that I didn't cry, but you needed to have the facts.
well, the way the mom put it is he's not hurting anybody. By living
Yes.
this fantasy, he's
Right.
never hurt anybody.
He didn't go to the funeral
But-
because he didn't know she was alive, and
Yeah.
that she
Yeah.
even died.
Because they say, why would he go to a funeral
And I
with someone
believe
he
the
doesn't know?
sister did it all for him, basically. Like,
Yeah,
put
she
it all
said she says it
together.
was kind of spearheaded the idea of well, it's, like we can't really explain it to him. His brain literally because he was underwater for a long time and it was cold.
He lost
and,
oxygen.
Yep, he had a skull fracture I think when he was underwater. So he just suffered a lot of brain damage. So he has this horrible amnesia where he doesn't remember his wife or anything really.
And now it's like
They said
his
he
brain
kinda-
sort of does, but it gave it
Or he
to
just
him
kinda
in
fill
like
it
a
in.
different version.
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, his memory, which is kind of a theme of the book of like your memory is kind of weird.
Is a crazy thing of like you remember, but you don't really know that you're like you don't know, but your brain does know.
Yeah.
Like,
And just your memory is not objective.
yeah. I could not.
It was devastating. It was not. I expected something kind of sad, but this was just like.
Yeah. And then also everybody around him. That's what really, really got to me. Like
Everybody else knew.
everybody
And
knows
they just love him.
his
and-
best friend
Yep.
has just known this entire time. And because he bought the occultorium next to his best friend's store. So, like, this whole time, his best friend's just been, like, watching him
so
live
that's
this crazy life. And then 5 years after Lydia passes, he has, like, this break.
Oh, yeah.
And he goes to the house and he burns it down. And he also...
Because nobody lived there. They made a point to say it was foreclosed on and empty.
But he burns it down, and then he tries to harm himself several times, and that's why he has all the scars on his chest.
But then he like called the cops and said that it was the same two guys or something, right?
Yeah.
From that.
His brain was.
But he didn't know that it was those
it's
two
like
guys.
all messed up.
Yeah, it's like it's under a layer of fog that he like can't see, but he knows it's there.
Yeah.
And then so after he woke up from the coma and he had his amnesia, he like adopted the kind of personality more like of his wife, where he was really into the occult and supernatural and like wore tie-dye and had flowy hair, and he was the complete opposite of the like pragmatic like logistic guy that he was before.
Yeah.
And now he had kind of like taken on his wife's
and how is it interesting, like
personality.
trauma sometimes turns other people into absolute assholes, pieces of shit, and then this severe, horrible trauma just turned him into the sweetest, just...
Yeah. I cried.
So yeah, this book...
And
I
he
was really
says,
sad and felt horrible.
Oh my god!
Really?
And they essentially tell him, we love your Uncle Calvin, and we keep that story, you know, we keep it
For him,
basically. And we were asking you to do the same.
Yeah, like kind of let Jake in on the family secret.
Yeah. And then we flash forward, or we're in the present day, and they're trick-or-treating, and Uncle Calvin's there. Side note, I thought Uncle Calvin was going to die. I thought he had a brain
buckling
tumor.
up.
Oh, really?
And I thought that's what this was.
Yep.
It's like his story of like the progression of his brain tumor and these crazy stories that he was coming up. Anyway, he's alive. He's still a little crazy.
Yeah.
Lots of crazy.
Well, yeah, it's the same like
Goofy guy.
normal,
His
kooky.
same old kooky
Yeah,
self.
but
Uncle
it like
Calvin.
shows Jake as a parent, like let his kid interact with Uncle Calvin and have that same sort of like, your Uncle Calvin is great. Like he has these crazy stories and he believes in these ghosts and things like that, and that's okay. You know, like it's okay for him to be a little bit different.
Because Jake's kid in the present day is only like 2, I think.
I think he's a little bit. I could be wrong. I think he's a little bit older.
Oh, I thought
Yeah.
2. But anyways, Uncle Calvin like loves him, and yeah, Jake definitely sees that Uncle Calvin is like the same way with his kid that he was, and he recognizes how much he appreciated it and loved it when he was a kid. So he, it kind of fosters that between his own kid and Uncle Calvin. And of course, Uncle Calvin's the coolest. So,
So star
a lot of
rating.
fun.
What is your star rating?
3.5.
I'd say it's probably like I'd say it was like a 4.12.
Okay. You know.
Out of 5.
It's all right.
I originally rated it 3 stars.
Okay.
And then the more I talk about it and the more
It's a good
that
book.
I really like dig into it, I think it was really good. So I'm gonna bump it up to like a 4.
Nice.
Yeah.
I agree. For the first half of reading the book, I was like, oh.
Snooze.
All right.
I don't care about brain surgery. I don't care about these kids' little budding romantic interests. Is neat. And like I've always just like really loved like coming of age stories of like kids and groups of kids, like the Goonies or like the Lost Boys,
Which is
or
why you
I'm
guys
sure
will
Stranger
really like
Things.
Stranger Things if you just watch it.
And this was very much that, like the kids riding their bikes, everywhere
Yes!
in town, and just like it's
Dove
just
has a skateboard.
That's
So
true.
does Sadie.
that's true. Dove skateboards. That
Well,
setting
her
is
name
just
is
like so much
Max
fun.
in the show. But anyway.
Okay.
Sorry. I know. Put it away, so it's okay. They're on your side.
Okay, let's get into fan cast.
Okay, fan cast time.
What's a fan cast? I've never heard of it.
So fan cast is...
We've done 8 episodes of this podcast.
Hey, I just read a book and don't remember whole thing. Fan cast is if we were going to make this a movie or a TV show, what actors, actresses, any celebrity would you choose to be that character?
Or just person you know.
Yep. Sure.
As we'll get into.
Yep.
Okay, do we want to do like one by one or like one character we each show?
I like one character at a
Okay.
time.
Who do you want to start with?
Jake.
Jake. So for Jake, I did Ian Armitage, which is young Sheldon.
Yeah,
That's very cute.
Well, that's not bad.
I would like to preface this. I'm not married to any of these. I had a really hard time with this fan cast, actually. Especially because they're such kids. Like, that was
And we don't get really a ton of description about them.
Yeah. You go.
For Jake, since I just mentioned the Goonies, did young Sean Astin from the Goonies. He's like the main kid in the Goonies. Also played Sam in Lord of the Rings.
Aw, I like that actor. He's good.
Oh, okay.
But the Goonies is just like the perfect encapsulation of me of that kind of the vibe of this. Yeah, there's a group of kids is like doing little adventures and getting into trouble.
Mm-hmm. Mine is Finn Wolfhand. Surprise, surprise. From
Oh.
Stranger Things.
Yeah.
What?
I know. He's so cool
I didn't know
and
you
funny
saw
though.
that.
But like in the very first season, he's
Jake can be funny
just
too.
not. Like
Really?
if you watch this, like he's a really weird, nerdy little kid. Like he's so sweet, but like it fits enough. You're like,
Let's do Billy.
Okay.
You're not gonna know who this is, but his name is Isaac Arlenaze, and he is from. What is this show? Stray Dogs? Reservation Dogs. He's from Reservation Dogs.
I did. Bear with me.
Oh, this is what he looks like.
oh, yeah.
Because
That's good.
Billy's cool.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Billy's
Yeah.
cool. Yeah.
That's cooler than mine. So I did. I'm so sorry when he watches this podcast. DeFaro Wunatai, who is also from Reservation Dogs, but he's like the main guy.
He's like the cool guy.
Yeah, he's like because that's what I was picturing Billy being like a
Look
cool,
at you two.
cool, sharp kind of dude.
Okay. That was going to be mine. I didn't want to have to pronounce his name. I didn't want to butcher it, and I was like, I'm just not going to do this to myself.
Yeah, no. I don't have any self-respect anyway, so.
Stop. Okay, Susie.
We got another Stranger Things actor, Joe Keery. He plays the kind of
Billy.
smart-ass cool guy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's who I have for Billy.
Dove.
I like it. We're saving Uncle Calvin to last.
The best.
So mine is Devery Jacobs from Reservation Dogs.
Nice.
And she's cool.
A show that we haven't watched, by
watched
the
it.
way. We watched the first few episodes.
Yeah.
Yep, she is pretty cool. That's a really good one.
Yeah.
That's good. I did Blue Hunt, who was the main girl from New Mutants.
Oh,
It's a terrible
that's a good
movie.
one.
I cannot recommend it any less.
Right.
Damn.
Okay. All right, get it for Susie. This is a good one.
Yep.
Yeah. Who is yours?
Sadie Sink.
Yep. Susie.
Played Dove.
Oh, yep.
This is not Stranger Things.
But it is.
Excuse me. This is not.
Yeah, this is the,
But
this
it
was
is.
the problem with the couch. This is why I had to be in the middle because they were both going to be
shoving him down.
I just slowly make my way over to Susie whenever I'm on this couch.
I'll just make myself small.
Okay.
Okay, Uncle Calvin.
Uncle Calvin. So, hear me out.
Oh, God. I love it. Hear me out.
Have you ever seen Sweet Life of Zack and Cody?
Stop it.
Yeah?
Brian Stepanek?
Wow, that's really good, actually.
Hello. That's Uncle Calvin right there.
That is a really good one.
Yeah.
Facts.
Yeah.
No, you're next.
Will you look at Susie?
Sorry.
Okay.
Mine.
Mine's also a little hear me out, but I think it was pretty good. It's just who I started picturing off rip. I had Adam Driver.
Oh, that's not that weird.
I feel like he would
I
be
was like-
a really good, really good, this like eccentric kooky, which also could be because I watched Megalopolis recently. It was horrible. I could not recommend it any less. Don't go watch it.
Justin's gonna start a movie
It
review
was-
channel.
Yep.
It was
When boys talk films.
it was a disaster. But he's a really good actor, so I know that he could be emotional
He
on
can
the
pull it
end.
off.
And he's also pretty funny, which Uncle Calvin is funny, but he's not necessarily like,
This Adam Driver.
okay, Uncle Calvin's hot sometimes. Okay?
You don't know him back in the day.
No, yeah.
This is Uncle Calvin.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway.
Anyways, I just think
I get what you're saying, like, actor-wise.
Yes.
Like, he's a good actor.
Yeah, I think he's funny and kooky and eccentric
He's
enough.
just not old enough.
No, but I think because Jake's only 12, so I don't think Uncle Calvin's supposed to be that old for the majority of it.
I
He's
think
probably in his
old.
40s.
Yeah.
Anyway, Susie, let's hear it. Say David Harbour from
She's
Stranger
like,
Things.
I'm just gonna let him.
Actually, my character for Uncle C is Cy Robertson from Duck Dynasty.
That's so
Not
good,
bad at
though.
all.
The entire
That's
time.
pretty good.
It's all I pictured the whole time.
Yeah.
Was him holding some sweet tea going, "Ghosts, kids."
That's pretty good.
And
That
like
checks
anyone
out.
that sees Uncle Cy, they're like, he's fine.
He's like,
He's just-
he's got a little
he's
something
a little
to
weird,
him.
but
Yeah.
he won't hurt you.
That's
And also, again, I thought of how I picture Uncle Cal as a mix between your uncle and my grandpa.
Yeah.
I'm gonna send Connor a picture of my Uncle Steve so that we can honorary
Uncle
fan
Steve,
cast.
we love
We
you.
like,
Yes.
and honestly, I think he would be thrilled.
He's like, I
Yeah.
need to read this.
Yes,
Yeah.
he would.
He's
too,
just
so.
like fun and he's
Yes.
just such a character. It's like the best way to say
It's,
it.
he's a lot like Jack Black, like
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
similar.
Yes.
If Jack Black and Jim Carrey had a son,
Yeah.
it would be my uncle.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, final thoughts?
Better than I expected.
Yeah.
It's a lot of story for a short book.
Yeah.
Like,
That's true. It was a pretty good payoff in the end. It wasn't until the last like 30 pages where you are like, oh my
emotional
god, what?
damage.
Yeah.
That's fun. We didn't really touch on Dove, but him and Dove kind of, their relationship
Oh.
kind of comes to a bit of a head at the end where she like tells him that she likes him and he thinks they're gonna kiss and then they don't kiss and then
Because they want different things in life.
and then instead of like dating, she makes him promise that he'll be there to hold her when she dies.
Yep. And then she moves. She has a girlfriend in the city.
Yep.
And she is a sculptor.
Yep, when he's in the little
Yeah.
he doesn't talk to her at all anymore. But him and Billy are still best friends as
Yep.
adults.
Went to
and,
college together.
and yeah, Billy played professional football, and he tells Jake that Duff became an artist and lives in San Francisco or LA or something, and it's still just wild and crazy.
Yeah.
And
So
That
his
was kinda
wife
cool.
is not Dove.
nope.
I was shocked and
Nope.
disappointed if we're being so for real. I was like, oh, okay.
I say.
Yep. You and me. You turned me into a romance girly. She was the cool, edgy older girl. He was
Yes,
the
she
sweet younger
was.
boy, and I was like,
Love. Well, it doesn't happen.
Nope.
yep.
But maybe in your fanfic, it can happen.
Yes.
That you guys are co-writing.
Yep.
Because you're co-hosts.
Yeah.
Yes.
Kind of like, I'll just go.
Yeah. Fine. My idea.
Yep.
Okay. Final thoughts?
That's
Final
cool.
thoughts?
Excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you can push through the first half, which
Yeah.
I found pretty
Well,
boring
it's
and
like
hard
you
to
don't
want
know
to read.
where it's going.
Yeah.
Oh, also,
Like, you don't understand
final
where
thoughts
everything
in
is connected.
general of being on When Girls Talk Books. Like, would you come back? Do you
Oh
like it? Did you have a
boy,
good
I
time
don't
here?
know. I don't know if we have enough cameras to keep plugging in. If I ever come back again.
Okay, we've had a little camera trouble.
I don't know if you know, but I have a pretty big screen presence, so I take up a lot of space on the I take up a lot of frame and really wears the batteries out. So I bring some technical difficulties with me.
It's exhausting, you know?
Lost the plot on that one.
It's okay. It's his first episode. We'll cut him some slack.
Yes. Yes.
Did you have fun?
I hope to be invited back. Yes, I did have fun. I'm, great to be here at Bones.
Bones, what did you think?
I agree. I couldn't have said it better myself.
Well said, Bones.
Here we go.
There we go.
Get off of me.
God.
Very
Her husband is right here.
It's embarrassing. Anyway, I liked it. I think the more I
Yep.
think about it, the more I like it.
Yeah,
for
I agree.
sure.
It definitely, like you said, it all
It's got
tied up.
layers to it.
It tied all the stuff that seemed useless and like a waste of time to the first time. I tied it all up nicely and brought it back to.
He was even using our reference, tied it up in a little bow.
He moved it. Yep.
Good job. Don't
What
get
can I
handsy
say?
with the skeleton.
He started it.
He's like, your hair is so luscious. Okay. I think I'm done.
Yep. Thanks,
Okay.
guys.
Bye.
Next time.
Bye.
Bye.